All right, perfect.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. All right, notification now. Perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have two incredible panelists today who are going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the lovely couple, married couple of Brother Captain Eric and Sister Kamala Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Well, I
Walaikum
like
salam, sir.
apologize.
Thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. Thank everyone who continues to watch. The first question that we always ask our married couples is, who made the first move? Who chose on who first?
Well, it was kind of it was odd. I was 17, I think, at the time, and I had just come home from college from Penn State University. And my sister, myself, and a couple of our friends were just riding along in the car and, picking out cute guys we saw on the street, just, for fun. And so we saw Brother Eric walking down the street, and I said, "Oh, he's really handsome." And so as we were driving, my sister said, "Whoa, whoa!" And so I literally backed up, and I said, "Him right there, right?" So little did I know that my girlfriend knew him, and they actually lived on the street. Lived on they grew up on the same street. And so she was like, "Well, don't I know you?" And I was like, "Are you kidding? Don't call him over here." But I didn't know they knew each other. So he came over to the car. We just exchanged numbers, and then that's kind of how it got started with us.
Amazing, beautiful. All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am. And what was it about Sister Kamala that made you say that this is the one?
Well, it was a process. It's not until I had got an opportunity to really get into a deep conversation with her. And at the time, when I got into a conversation with her conversation was different to the most women that I was dealing with at the time. In the sense that, she was young, but yet her knowledge was beyond her years. So, the minister talks about when he's talking about the study guide language, you're speaking the words of angels, and it was so in depth, as far as the language that she was using, that it just kind of like took me, in a different path. Normally, when I get in conversation with people, and so I said, wow, this girl's deep, and so I had to sharpen up my sword, if you will, and understand that, wow, she's just not saying anything that the average particular young lady would be saying, it was more in depth, so that's how, on my behalf, that's what intrigued me with her.
Excellent. Okay, and thank everyone who's watching from all over the country. And once can't wait to put this on YouTube. Please let us know what city you're watching from. My sister Miriam sends the greetings. Walaikum salam. All right, now for you, Sister Kamala, what was the first date like? Like, where did you all go?
He actually came over to the house. So my what we exchanged phone numbers, but we didn't contact each other for about 2 weeks. So after that first day of first seeing each other, we did not talk after that, because my sisters were, of course, telling me, "I don't care what happens, you never make the first move. You better not call him. You better not call him." And so they were just giving me good guidance, not to call him first. And so after a couple of weeks, he called. And at that time, I didn't know who he was, because had been a while. And so he was saying, "Oh, well, this is Eric." And I was saying, "Eric who?" He was like, "Oh, don't act like you don't know who I am." I said, "No, honestly, I don't." I don't remember who you are, right? So I said, "Okay, well, if you don't want to tell me, then we don't have to talk." Okay. So then he explained, that we met on Victoria Street, right? And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So after that, we had that conversation that evening. He wanted to come and see me. And so he actually came to my parents' home. I was living at home with my parents and my sisters at the time. I think my brothers by that time had all moved out. And so he came over to the house and we sat in the backyard and we talked. You know, my parents and everybody were looking out of the window, like, who is this? Who is this guy? You know? And so we sat, my mom had like a nice patio set in the back and a fireplace. And so we sat outside and talked. I introduced them to him, of course, when he came to the door. And so that the first question I just have for him is like, do you know who Minister Farrakhan is? Right? That's what I wanted to know. Like, are you aware? Do you have any awareness of him? And so he answered and he said, yeah, I know who Farrakhan is. And I said, well, what do you think about Minister Farrakhan? And at that time he said, well, I think he kind of ruined Jesse Jackson's campaign, you know. And I was like, oh, I said, so you think that America was gonna let Jesse Jackson as a Black man walk up in there and become president? He said, no, not really. I said, well, how can he ruin something that you really don't think he has the chances of even becoming, right? So he thought that was a good point. And so we just talked about the minister. We talked about his becoming aware of the Nation of Islam in prison. And we talked about, how he viewed religion at that time. And his family was not a very religious family, right? His family was more of a party family, they weren't really a religious kind of family. So we really, when we start talking religion, that was kind of new for him in the conversation with and I'm probably the youngest one that he had dated, right? But that's his fascination with Islam. It was really what kind of intrigued him. And so we had many, many more conversations, and we were very heavy in the study guides back then. And so we had so much material to talk about, right? It had so much conversation to talk about based upon the teachings.
Beautiful. Okay, all praises to Allah. Thank everyone who continues to watch and like, share, and subscribe to People's Podcast. Okay, now for you, Bert Captain, when we interview, everybody please go back and watch the interview that we did last Sunday with you. You spoke about how you physically fought her brother.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So now you physically in prison, you physically fight her brother. Now you get out, and you with his sister. Did that throw you off in any way in your pursuit of her?
No, I mean, at that time, when I first met her, like I said again, is that, what she didn't say, I was really dating her father, because her father was the one that always, every time I come over to the house, had me locked down like 4 or 5 hours, right? You know what I'm saying? Listening to the Minister Farrakhan videos, right? So he was really the one I was dating, didn't know it though, right? But he was giving me all this Islam and stuff like that. So I was going through a process, you know what I'm saying, as far as orientation, if you will, right?
Yes, sir.
She would disappear, leave me in the room with the father, right? And we started to have a beautiful relationship. But the brother, it was just like she would say, the family will come and they'd be watching, who's this dude, this, that, and another. But like I said, the one time that the brother did come over to the house, he recognized me immediately because we knew each other, and he was tripping on one level, right? And just like anything else, when you come out of jail, somebody, you dap each other up or whatnot. What's going on, man? He said, I said, that's your sister? He said, yeah, but this is baby sister, right? I said, which is crazy. So, like I said, again, we laughed and stuff like that. And at that time, again, he was the captain of the boss during this period now, right? So he made me a lieutenant. I didn't even know if I could spell lieutenant at the time. But he made me an officer, right? And I was half scared to death because, we didn't have a lot of believers at the time in the mosque or whatnot. But brother, I told you he was the first one that taught me brotherhood, in the nation, right? And brother, we was able, brother, by God's grace, brother, to do a lot, and got past that little engram that we had when we was in prison. you know, and you used to always laugh it off, you know, after we had grown, you know, far to this to the degree, whereas, you know, time has, you know, at what passed, you know. And so, you know, we got to know each other for each other as far as what it was worth, you know, as far as the nation. And brother, the work, brother, settled our differences.
Yes.
All praise due to Allah. Now, Sister Kamala, coming from strong Islamic family background, siblings and parents and things of that nature, so we know it's going to be a challenge for you to get accepted from her family. But what about you, Sister Kamala? Were you nervous about being accepted from his family?
Not really. They really are really nice people, right? You know, a lot of people have these nightmarish in-laws that they have to try and get past, but that wasn't the case with them. His mother was probably one of the kindest, most beautiful people that I've ever met. Even though she was not religious, she did not believe in slack talk and gossip. She did not believe in tearing down, you know, even their father, who had, you know, in their opinions, they were, you know, not necessarily endearing to a lot of his behavior. But when it came to their father, their mother would not accept them talking anything bad about him or even each other, you know. And she really was displaying a lot of Muslim qualities, even though she was not in the mosque, you know. Her just inner goodness about, you know, who she was and how she conducted her family and the family life. It was just, they were very accepting, very loving. Still to this day, you know, we still have a very good relationship with all of his brothers and sisters. He come from a family of 9. So it was really something. What I did not know, my sister-in-laws told me this maybe about 10 years ago. They were telling me, you know, Kamel, we never thought that y'all were gonna stay together, you know. When I got together, we kept saying, you know, well, what's Eric going on with this young girl? You know, what's that about? And the mother would say, no, I think she might be the one, because, you know, he's doing a lot of changing, you know, and he changed, you know, was changing his ways and his behaviors and cutting out talking to all the other girls he was talking to, you know what I'm saying? And she just saw a tremendous change in him. And she was sharing that with the sisters, and they were like, nah, I don't think he's gonna stay, da 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 da. But little did they know, you know, that it was Islam. It really was that transformed him, and his love of what it had done for him that made him want to, you know, continue to pursue a life of, you know, minus this world, you know. So that's really what helped him. And, you know, like a lot of people, when they come out of prison, they keep going back, you know, they come out and they go right back. They come out and it's kind of that cycle. But for him, that was not the case. When he came out, he wanted to stay out, you know. And, you know, when you come out, you don't necessarily know of another life that you can have other than this world. So when he fell in love with Islam, because it did help to change him and show him a different way, a new way, you know, and it helped to edify what he wanted out of life, you know. And so that was very helpful.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. Excellent. Thank everyone who's watching. My sister Miriam says that's beautiful. Okay, my next question is, how did the proposal, how did that take place, Brother Catherine?
Well, you know, brother, that's a good question, because for me, you know, I used to, you know, in the nation, you know, you see people get married or whatnot, right?
Yes.
And then, you know, as time had progressed, I just thought it was time, because I see that all of my friends around me was getting married, and I said, well, it's clear to me I'm not going backwards, you know. And so we was at, I don't even know if that was Brother Hugh wedding or.
It was Sandra's wedding.
My sister-in-law wedding, right?
Mhm.
So I said, why not us? So I didn't just say, honey, would you marry me? You know what I'm saying? We was at a wedding. I just said, man, well, how about us? Let's get married or whatnot, right? And so we was wrestling around, when I did propose, we was wrestling about the date. My wife wanted to change the date, right? And I said, no, now listen, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it what we said we was gonna do. If we ain't gonna do it on this date, we ain't gonna do it, right?
Mm.
And matter of fact, she picked Master Farah Muhammad's birthday. So we settled on that, right? And that's when we got married, Master Farah Muhammad's birthday. So crazy.
We actually had to wait 2 days because it was on a Thursday. So we got married on a Saturday, which was the 28th.
Yes,
right.
because
But little did we know that we would not be able to celebrate our anniversary ever because
right.
Because we go to
Yeah.
Chicago. We already know what we're doing for Savior's Day, working.
Yeah.
So, we would be at the hotel, we wake up, we go, oh yeah, by the way,
Take it next.
happy anniversary. Oh yeah, by the way, happy anniversary. And we just kept working, and that's kind of how it's been for the last 34 years.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Now, and there are people showing you love all across the country. So you all get married. So you propose, you get married. Savior's Day. My next question for you, brother. Oh, no, that's what it was, sister. Your nieces and nephews I've interviewed them. From Sister Sanders' children. So shout out to your whole. So somebody we know that side of the family, and your brother Donnie as well.
Yes.
My next question for you, Brother Captain, is what has been your greatest trial in marriage, and how have you been able to overcome that?
Oh, my greatest trial, you say?
Yes, sir.
Brother, my greatest trial always have been, brother, trying to become one, with each other. My wife, brother, she's a captain, right? And almost like, one thing about a female, right? Sometimes it could be a alpha female, very dominant, you know what I'm saying? Or very strong opinion, Sometimes, brother, that's good for a man sometimes, when they know how on one level, you know what I'm saying? Don't let you fall off a cliff, and walking off somewhere real blind that just don't want to say nothing, And sometimes, as I told you before, brother Josh, in my house, truth rules. That's my house, And my wife, brother, by God's grace, once you understand their personality, and their traits, because when you go through history, brother, especially in mating, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said there's a science in art of mating, and she come from a strong family, and her mother is real strong, you know what I'm saying, in that area, right? And most of her sisters is like that as well, right? But just like anything else though, brother, when you have, the minister talks about those rusty locks in our lessons, right? You know what I'm saying? He said, if you got the right key sometimes, brother, you can unlock some of those locks, right? And so I had learned to use the language, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to supreme wisdom or the study guides and stuff like that, when we get into debates and everything, and trials, right? The hard trials is necessary to establish truth.
Yes, sir.
To navigate through that, and to be able to, to see, what is causing us in all this argument. But most of the time, though, Brother Charles, it was me. I say 90%, if there's a problem, it's normally me. My wife is a beautiful person when you really understand her and know her, and it was always her trying to get me, you know what I'm saying, to turn that corner, right? So no, she always, brother, I tell people today, she reminds me so much of my mother in the sense of her spirit, a very warm spirit. It's nothing that she wouldn't do, especially, for the family, my children or whatnot, for believers. I mean, even though when you say grandchildren, we don't have grandchildren, but we really do have grandchildren because most of all the believers in the mosque that we have raised and everything else, they got children, they still come over today. It's like our grandchildren, you know. As a matter of fact, my children is almost like my grandchildren because we always raising the other believers' children, right? Now my children is like sporty. You know, my grandchildren, 40 grandchildren, you know, that's how my children are today, right? But no, brother, trials is always something that the study guide, the minister taught us about, brother. And he said the first 3 years, brother, you have to get through it because, I always was talking about getting divorced the first 3 years.
Oh my
I
God.
always
Every
wanted
day.
to quit, just quit.
Every
But
day.
when you ain't really
Every
been with
day.
somebody in the long, this have clearly been the longest relationship that I've ever been in, right? When I met my wife, right? And again, you got part of that world still in you or whatnot, and you don't know what the devil, because in the nation, sometimes, brother, we make it so hard for couples because we think that we got to be in a zip suit straight up 6 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? We don't even know how to just be a brother when we get home. We think we got to do left face, right face, and all this other stuff, right? No, you just got to be yourself. And being yourself in relationships, brother, sometimes, brother, it allows you, you know what I'm saying, that space that you need, because as I said earlier, you can get spooky, brother, and most people don't think you could dance. No, you can dance in the Nation of Islam, you just can't do them freaky dances, so that's one of the things that me and my wife, dealing with trials, just how our house was gonna be. I don't know, we lost them or.
It looks like it. I'm sure he'll be joining us back again in a minute. That definitely is one of the I guess that's one of the things that help us to kind of be able to not have to cut either family out. You know what I'm saying? Because, your family, know how to have fun, and my family know how to have fun. And just being able to, being able to, what is that? He said he'll be up back up in a minute. Just trying to come get back on.
So normally we just, you edit that part and just back in. You can do that.
Yeah, but this is a live.
So just pause.
Yes. Yes, sir. You back?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for your all's patience. I thought this, but
Yes, sir, brother.
to continue watching the people's podcast. Sometimes technical issues occur.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. my next question for you is for Sister Captain. I want to make sure you acknowledge that as well. Is what has been your greatest trial in marriage, and how have you been able to overcome that trial?
Um, there's, marriage is trial. That's what creates a marriage. I always tell couples that we talk to, or couples that we uh, um,
Counsel.
counsel and give guidance to, that the wedding is one day, and it's a great celebration, a big party. You spend lots of money, you take lots of pictures, and when struggle begins, then the marriage begins, right? And so it actually is the mortar, those struggles, those periods of time when you have the most difficulty, that's the mortar as you get over it, to be able to hold the bricks together that you're trying to build a relationship with. In our first part of our marriage, the youngest part of our marriage, that was very difficult, because that was Brother Eric's solution. Like, okay, just quit, let's just, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna break up. That was kind of a theme, right? And so, um, and not knowing how to communicate properly, right? I do come from a very strong family of women. I have a lot of very strong women in my family. And one of his biggest complaints all the time was like, oh, you think you're the man in the relationship, and you think you know the answers, and da 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 da. But I didn't know the answers, but I did know what the minister said, right? And so, as far as I was concerned, those were the answers, right? I learned from my parents, who followed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that was my example. And I learned from the teachings that the minister gave us on relationships and marriage and how to birth a God, and all of those foundational things that he gave us, problems in relationship, the Black female and male relationships. All of these are tools that he had given us to use to build a relationship, to build a marriage. Learning how to communicate, learning how to, the whole set up in the Bible and Quran, where it talks about, well, let God be the head of Christ, right? And let Christ be the head of man, and let man be the head of woman, and woman the head of the children. Well, I heard the minister explain that one time, and he was saying that, yes, but if God is not the man's head, then should you follow him, right? Or should you be following a man that that Christ is not his head, And how can you love someone who doesn't love what you love? And so that guidance was very significant in our development. It was very significant in our relationship, where yes, we understood that the man was the head of the household and the head of the woman, and so forth and so on. But as a man, then you have to do your part too. You have to allow Christ to be your head, right? And so just allowing us to be able to understand the roles in relationship, that takes a while, that takes years, to be able to not only understand them, because understanding them by saying, oh yeah, I understand, that's one thing, but being able to put them in proper application, it becomes difficult. And especially when you don't understand that you're trying to make two people into one. You know what I'm saying? So you have to give up some things that maybe you want of yourself, and the other person has to give up some things in order so that the two can become one under God and under these teachings. So that was a very difficult time, just learning how to properly communicate, learning how to, and even though I knew the answers, right? Or knew the answers to those questions, not because I knew, but based on what I was taught. How do you deliver that to someone who is above you, that because God placed them there, but doesn't have the knowledge yet because they have not had the advantage of being under these teachings. I mean, it's kind of like when the minister said, when you first come into the nation, you go to your family and say, oh, y'all crazy. Oh, you are, y'all eating all this hog, and you come across very raw, and learning how to temper that, especially when you're dealing with the man, and trying to learn how to temper that to give them the knowledge and information so that they can absorb it. And you want to prepare the meal in such a way that it's delightful. Not the physical meal, but of course the spiritual teaching. You want to prepare it in a way that it's acceptable and not come across so raw, so blunt, to the point where, yeah, it might be true, but have you made the truth palatable enough for someone to be able to digest it?
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And people are bearing witness saying yes. Sister Edwina saying teaching. And so praise be to Allah. So the melody says marriage is the community. Greetings, family. Greetings to you, Sister Edwina, as well. Okay, back to you, Brother Captain. What has been your greatest joy in marriage?
Brother, my greatest joy in marriage, brother, is to be able to see my wife and my children blossom into the teaching and understanding, and to know for sure, brother, that, when you understand, brother, where you're going and where you come from, the joy, brother, that, I just could have been a Negro on the sidewalk, you know what I'm saying, brother, doing that crazy, crazy thing that we see our brothers and stuff do today, right? But the real joy is, brother, to know that you put away childish things. And one thing for sure, brother, we ain't arguing about who went to the club last night. Brother, what time you coming home, or you going to the bar, I mean, those things, but just the joy, just you're talking about life, you're talking about prosperity, and so when I come home, it's really home. I told my wife, we talk about this all the time, brother. Sometimes, brother, we go in the yard, we get on the swing set, brother, and we're grateful, brother. We just sit there, we eat a meal, and we just enjoy each other's company. I mean, the beauty, brother, just to know that, brother, you want to come home, and you know that Allah is God, and I tell you, brother Josh, is that, sometimes it's not all about money sometimes. It's not about money, brother. It's about understanding, and once you get an understanding with a person, brother, you realize, brother, that material things come and they go, but I enjoy every moment of the day that Allah blessed me with my wife, brother, and my children, because I realize one thing: we all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're gonna meet that father time, if you will, right? But I learned from prison that when my freedom was taken, how to smell a rose, brother. Just to be glad to hear the birds, because before, brother, you couldn't even hear the birds, or you could hear them, but you couldn't see them. With these big high walls, man, about 40 feet high, And so little things, brother, I learned how to appreciate, and I tell you, brother, in relationship, you got to understand that those are the moments in time, working together to the nation. Like I said, we crisscross this whole country to help an honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, brother, doing all the work together. I mean, this is my partner, and I want to appreciate it, why she lived. And I'm hoping she's doing the same, because again, brother, we know that life is going to catch up with us one day, so I just want to be grateful. I want to be invested, all that I can, to making sure that she is happy, and it's sometimes, brother, you get like, good days and bad days. And what I mean by that is that, sometimes issues come up, right? And you got to deal with certain things, in certain financial situations sometimes, but, you get through it, that God is able. And one of the things I would touch on this note, even for those couples that's out there, the first 10 years, brother, Me and my wife was not able to have children. Not because physically we couldn't have the children. My wife, brother, that was a real moment for her because she's seen all these other believers in the mosque have children. And I think that she's been on every sister birth in the mosque, right? Then when they went to the hospital to deliver a baby, I think she helped deliver every baby in the mosque, right? And she loved children, right? But yet she never had one, right? And I told her, I said, listen, Allah is the one who controls life and death. Whenever Allah wants us to have a child, we're gonna have a child, honey. You just can't always think you're gonna have it today. God knows He's doing it. And matter of fact, He's trying to tell us He got something for us to do. So we spent all that time, brother, helping building a nation, and surely, brother, is my witness, brother. When my father passed, brother, Allah gave me a gift, brother, gave me a beautiful daughter, on his birthday, right? And like I told her, I said, sometimes things happen for a reason, because Allah never takes something without replacing it with something, right? And I got two beautiful children, my son and whatnot, brother. And right now, brother, I'm trying to now, we're at a point now, they're so beautiful, we try to get them their own house now, right now. You know what I'm saying, brother? After that, you like to nursing them and stuff like that, but you can't wait till they go ahead and start their own family, so.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Okay, great. And people are bearing witness all in the comments. So the Dwayne says she promised she's thankful for this meeting. She apologized. Okay, okay. Everybody's showing love all across the country. Okay, my next question for you, Assistant Captain, is what advice would you give to future mothers?
Work hard to be what you want your children to become. Right? So while I wish that the time that it took me to have a child, right? Those 10 years of our marriage where we did not have children, I wish I could have worked harder on myself to be, because you want your children in different things, you want them to learn different things. And so you want to be exactly what you want your children to become, because that's what's going to happen regardless if you want it or not, right? You're their example. So you want to do that. You want to work hard to be what you want your children to become. And so I would offer them the same things, the how to give birth to a God. I would offer that as not just a suggestion, but the best possible guidance. The relationships CDs or videos, I would offer that. We have been given perfect guidance, and we would be negligent in our duty if we do not study that which we have been given, because we can avert a lot of pain and a lot of misdirection and misguidance if we study what we've been given by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. The amount of love that he puts in his work of resurrecting us, it's the kind of love, but tenfold, 100-fold that a parent has for a child. And we are his children. Those of us he is guiding and he is directing us, and he has given all of himself to help us. And so for those who want to be future mothers, I would say study hard and apply it to your everyday life while you don't even have children. If you don't have any children, if you're not even married, but it's like you're preparing for the test. And the test is when you have the children, what to do. There is a book that I read too called How to Teach Your Children to Read, or Babies to Read, right? And I use that because I know that the messenger taught us reading is one of the, of course, foundational things that we should be doing with our children. And so when I got pregnant with my first child, that was one of the books that I read, and it inspired me. I quit my job and I wound up opening up a daycare, and just being able to use that as a guide to teach the children to read. So my daughter was reading very young. I think she was 3 years old. She was 2 when she first started reading small words, but then she was 3 when she started reading books, and applying the teachings. They work. They absolutely work. I remember Sister Ava saying, as soon as your child could sit up straight, you should put them on the potty, and my daughter must have been about 5 months when I first put her on the potty, and I didn't have years and years of diapers for her. That didn't happen. By the time she was a good 1 year old, she was going, to the bathroom. So, and being able to feed them properly, feed them spiritually, feed them physically. And what I would do too is I would use the supreme wisdom to teach them, and read to them at night, the supreme wisdom, using our lessons to guide them and to teach them, so it's a familiar language to them. It wasn't something foreign to the children, but definitely the love that we have for them, the discipline that the nation has for us is good for everybody, and is definitely good for them. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. Okay, great. Excellent. And Sister Tracy from Baltimore showing love. Everybody showing you love all across the country. Thank you all. Can't wait to put this on YouTube. My next question for you, Brother Captain, is what would you, I always ask the guests that come on, the couples, what would you say if you could say one song represented you all's love story? What song would you choose?
Always if that was our wedding song. By O'Brien. And that's what it's about, brother. You know what I'm saying? Because again, life and marriage, it's not a one-day event, brother. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. And every time me and my wife, as I said earlier, we listen to the song, our wedding song or whatnot, right? There are things that the minister says that words are very powerful, brother. And they have meanings. You know what I'm saying? And always and forever means that, brother. Sometimes, brother, things happen to people in their development or in their life. Let me give you a good example. Brother, if right now, brother, that there was a fire or something like that, brother, and God forbid I had to go in there and try to save somebody, but I got all burnt up. Is our relationship over with? Because I don't look the same no more. Same thing with her. What happens if she has some type of disability? Do our relationship change now? Because I was only with you because you can walk down the street with me. No, brother, you don't know what circumstances come into your life, brother, that you had to get through. My wife, when she was going through the COVID situation or whatnot, brother, and it was a touch and go for her. It really was a touch and go for her, and those are the things, brother, that that you begin to see will come out of you, and to be able to try to help her, and to help baby her and do the things that she could no longer do of herself because she was sick, right? Those are things that again shows you, what's in you, even in our marriage. When we first got married, Brother John, I didn't know how selfish I was, brother. Because sometimes, brother, you live a life, and you don't realize you're in a relationship. And another example of that is that when I used to go to the store, I used to get something to come home, right? After I, came off a detail, this, that, never to bother to call home to say, honey, you need anything? Thinking about the other person that's at home, right? Until I get all the way home and she says, honey, wow, I wanted some strawberries or something, you could have called me and let me know you was going to the store, right? Those things like that, brother, understanding you're not in this by yourself. You got to be considerate, and she helped me to develop me, to the degree where I don't even come home without saying, hey, you need something? Because I realized if I don't, I had to go back out again. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of things that you have to do that it cuts a lot of arguments out in relationships. And I tell couples, especially the brothers, look, brother, you want a good relationship? get your wife a car. Because one thing about a woman, she loves to shop. And one thing about a man, he's impatient. So you sitting at the store and she had a fabric shop and she ain't in for 5 months, brother. You know what I'm saying? And you like, yo, what's going on, right? You know, give her a car, she can go on her own, you know, and that gets you a lot of sleep, brother. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times transportation becomes an argument, you know, in relationships, brother. You know, so you have to try to find ways to minimize the damage, you know. And listen, when she can do her stuff and I can do mine, we living happily, you know. So that's another thing a tip that I tell the brother, man, buy your wife a beautiful car, you know. And believe me, brother, you don't have to rush home all the time, you know, to take her to the store or something, you know.
Beautiful, excellent advice. So you teaching right, Captain? Sister Tracy is showing love and saying beautiful, yes, sir. For you, Sister Captain, what would your song be that represents your relationship?
Gotta be something the band draws. It gotta be some Luther, all Luther songs. I don't have any, I guess, one particular song, but you know, our objective is to try and win each other, right? A lot of times when you first get into relationships, it's all about winning the argument. Right and you're wrong. No, I'm right and you're wrong, you know? So I would just say, you know, when it comes to trying to get on the same page with each other, how do you win the individual and not necessarily the argument? At the end of the day, Allah is going to be the winner. That's what you want. You want for him to be the winner, and you want for us to be the winner, not one of us. Because one of us wins, does that mean that the other one loses? You know, so trying to find a way in order to come together, that's really the ultimate objective. You know, Brother Joshua, what we did have that a lot of couples don't is that we had good support from our families. You know, my husband would be so quick when we got in an argument to go tell my parents so that I could get in trouble for whatever it is I did, you know, or how I said it to him or whatever. But I could do the same thing. I could go to him, but my parents would not support him and they wouldn't support me. They would support what was right. And they would tell both of us, you know, well, you know, yeah, you're right about that, Eric, but you know, the way you did such and such, now that wasn't right. Right. And his mother would do the same thing. They were not biased based on the fact of this is my child, you know, and I'm just going to, you know, say they're right because it's my child. Our relationship, I can't say that it's something that we did on our own. This is something that we did with the guidance from the minister, with the guidance from our example, my parents, and you know, with that, just that strong support, even mosque officials, right? I'll give you a good example. When we got married, my husband, he would always get sick, right? On Saturday, he would get sick Saturday evening. He would start coughing around the house. He's coughing around the house. I know what I'm going to hear next is, oh, I can't go to the mosque because I'm sick, right? I don't want to get anybody else sick, right? But really, he was home watching the football game. So I remember Wednesday night, Captain Dennis was teaching this night, and he said, you sisters, he said, when we call for your husbands, you make sure you put him on the phone. He said, don't let your husbands hide behind your skirt tail. He said, because all you will have is a nigga laying in the bed with you the next day. He said, we're trying to make men out of them and hold them accountable and responsible. So next Saturday, when he started coughing, I was ironing his shirt. I still ironed his shirt. I got his clothes out. I made sure I went to the cleaners and got his suit. And he, you know, he's trying to get ready to be sick. And so that Sunday, he did the same thing. But when I got to the mosque, Brother Dennis asked me, "Where's Brother Eric?" I said, "Oh, he's at the house watching the football game. He's at the house watching the football game."
Yes, he
So,
did.
so what the brothers did is Brother Dennis, he got up
Mhm.
like a good captain
Mhm.
would. He went over to the house, knocked on the door. "Who is it? Who? It's Captain Dennis." Oh my God.
Mhm.
Thank God. Thank God his suit and everything was already ready. And ever since then, it was just, he couldn't stand that embarrassment. Ever since then, he been coming to the mosque and, was able to help get stronger. But I'm saying that, I know sometimes sisters meet brothers who are not in the nation
Mhm.
and don't know these teachings. But we have to release them over to the men to help make men out of them, and don't allow them to make excuses to you so that you can cover up their weaknesses. When you have people who can help them, then you can't make a man out of them. That's not something that we can do. We can introduce them to it, and then they have to gravitate toward that. And they had a beautiful brotherhood. They've been great friends ever since. As a matter of fact, Captain Dennis was he was his best man at the wedding. So yeah, and my brother, like you said, Brother Captain Jeff, he bought him his first suit, but there was a sense of brotherhood and responsibility of the brotherhood back then and maybe that still exists, today. I'm hoping that people, us as believers, understand that when people bring them to us, if the brothers bringing a sister to us as the MGT, and the sisters are bringing in brothers as, under the tutelage of the FOI, that there are those who would gravitate toward that person, put their arms around them, show them that love and brotherhood, and bring them into the fold of Islam, So we felt we had other outlets to go to. When we had arguments, we would go to the captain. It wasn't about, just keep our business to ourselves. We do that to the point where now you're divorced, right? Because you never really tried to reach out and get guidance, when you didn't have it. So that your only answer was to leave, was to divorce, where you have people who have experience who, if you ask Allah for guidance, sometimes he'll send you people to help support that. And so we did that along with using the teachings ourselves. And like my husband said, that, Islam is what helps to guide our life and helps to guide our children. My children would always tell me, "Mom, I don't like, to talk to you about stuff because you pull the minister out on us, or you pull the messenger's teaching out on us, and then what do you say after that? There's nothing to say." I said, "Well, that's pretty much the case." I said, "And I don't have any knowledge of my own to give you, right? Only knowledge I have is the best. I'm going to give you the best thing that I have. And the best thing that I have are these teachings. So I'm not going to make it up as I go along. I'm not going to tell you Mom knows something that she doesn't know. I'm going to tell you what the messenger of God said. I'm going to tell you what he said, and you can fight with him, because there's no need for you to fight with me. This is what was given to us. And I know that it works best because I practice it." Yes, sir.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah, and people showing you all love all across the country. And on that positive note, uplifting note, we want to thank Brother Captain Eric and Sister Captain Kamala Muhammad for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast and give us some incredible information as well as inspiration. We can't wait to put this on YouTube. May Allah continue to bless you all. I look forward to meeting you all in person, inshallah, soon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. People are showing you all love. And Sister Tracy is up next at 5 p.m. We got a Grand Master out of New York dealing with martial arts at 7 p.m. And at 9 p.m., we have an actor who is working on his new television series that we can't wait to, that he's just got green lighted. So we're going to premiere all of that. We have a lot of great interviews. Before we let you all go, we have a quick 60-second commercial break. for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast this month, and we want to make sure that we show them love for their continued sponsors. If you'd like to be a sponsor or donor, please cash app the People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and drone, television, and film editing. Please reach out to him. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book, coloring book, and now Spanish book, ABC I Love Me on Amazon. Please go and get that. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studio of Atlanta, Georgia. Raw Communications. If you're working on a book and you need copy editing, project management, content development, or media relations, please reach out to Raw Communications. Also, Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad out of Austin, Texas, conflict mediation, squashing the beef throughout the Southwest region. He does a phenomenal job. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, giving birth to a guy in the science of child rearing. Please get her, make sure you go get her book. Also, Fashion Guides, Urban Streetwear, 314-329-6009. He'll keep you dripping in the best of fashion. Thank you very much. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. Asiatic Minds, they teach STEM to young kings and queens all across the country. Asiaticminds.com, Asiaticminds.com. Make sure you enroll your students, teach virtually. Chemistry, 6 episodes. This is a new television pilot on YouTube. Make sure we support it. Make sure we show love. Taj Hollywood on social media, Taj Hollywood. Also, helping others overcome depression. Keep it hood. Helping others overcome depression. That's Taj Hollywood as well. Also, Aaron Muhammad with Elevated Places Incorporated, stress management, real estate, credit clearing, and repair. Also, Respect for Life Center, iridology analysis. They can reveal nutritional needs, personal wellness, physical and emotional, mentally and spiritually. 229-344-1474. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services out of Chicago. My father's book, The Soldier and Movement of Christ, abdulsharif.com. And last but not least, my 2 books, Cleopatra, which is the children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, all of which are available on Amazon.com. I want to thank our lovely couple who gave us some inspiration and motivation today. Thank you. May Allah continue to bless you all and your family. Thank you, everyone who was watching. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum.
Well,
Sir.